When I was pregnant, the CEO's first love came back. As his woman, I left without looking back. He turned the world upside down trying to find me but never succeeded. Until I heard the news that the CEO had passed away. I returned to the country with my 4-year-old daughter for his funeral. If it wasn't just a ploy to get honey back, I wouldn't stay in this coffin for a second longer. Boo-hoo, honey, my honey. Who's the jerk that got you pregnant? I don't care whose kid it is at my funeral, she's mine. My daughter is so cute. Damn, I'm just faking my death, not really gone. Who told you to smile at my honey? LL, come back to life right now and show you all. Who's speaking now? The woman who had been with the CEO for 3 years. I found out I was pregnant. The report in my hand showed I was over 2 months along. No one knew yet. I couldn't wait to call Jack, but my phone rang suddenly. It was my best friend calling. Mandy, did you hear the news? I was puzzled. What news? Your man's first love is back in town. Just landed, and the CEO has gone to pick her up. I sat in silence at the hospital for a long time. The report in my hand was torn to shreds by me. I called someone abroad. I am willing to go overseas, but I want you to help me hide. Make sure no one knows where I am. I pretended nothing had happened and returned to the estate where Jack and I lived. He was rebellious, no one could restrain him, including me. But before leaving, I wanted to give him a gift. Night fell and it was past 10, but Jack, who always returned to the estate by then, hadn't come back yet. I fell asleep in a daze. In the middle of the night, I caught a whiff of alcohol and someone picked me up and put me on the bed. I quietly took out a tie and grabbed Jack's hands. He had a mischievous smile. Want to try something new tonight? Try your big head, ghost. Going to pick up your first love and still want to play? I coldly chuckled inside but showed a mysterious smile on the outside. I used the tie to lift his hands above his head and tied them to the headboard. He couldn't move and his eyes darkened with desire, but he didn't resist. Mandy, what's this new game? I giggled. Don't worry, it's very exciting, even I am scared. His breathing got hotter. I knew what he was thinking but knowingly didn't explain. I undid his buttons one by one, revealing his strong abs. Jack never skipped workouts. His physique was top of the line in a city. I couldn't help but touch it, hearing his laughter above me. You like that? I let him misunderstand, nodding. Hearing his breathing deepen, I smirked and suddenly pinched his chin. Jack, what if I am pregnant? He became serious, his gaze sharp. Impossible. You can't be pregnant, I always took precautions. And I had a vasectomy 2 months ago. How could it be impossible? I was just over 3 months pregnant. But how could the Greens agree to his vasectomy? I quickly squashed the panic in my heart and kept tempting him, leading him astray. Suddenly, his face changed, looking at me. That drink, you drugged it? Of course. I knew him well. Even if I wasn't important, I wasn't going anywhere as long as he wasn't tired of me. My mom arranged for people to help me once I got Jack settled. The drink I made him was laced with a sedative. I slapped his abs, muttering, Jack, you jerk. If you love your first love so much, stay with her forever. He gritted his teeth. Mandy, don't let me catch you. I laughed. You won't catch me. I am leaving the country soon, then get him all worked up and split. That was my plan. As soon as he passed out, I took off pregnant. After losing both parents, I struggled to raise myself. But not long ago, this woman called claiming to be my bio mom, saying I had been lost, and my current parents were adoptive. She was now doing great abroad, and she cried over the phone after finding me, begging me to live with her. I refused every time. I liked Jack. Even if he saw me as insignificant, I accepted it because it was my decision to like him. But now his first love was back. I'd seen his journal filled with Mandy, but his first love's name also had Mandy in it. At first, I agreed to pretend to be Jack's girlfriend for money because I was broke. Later, he didn't want family pressure. So the act continued until I realized I liked him. We crossed the line once when he was drunk, and I became his woman. Leaving was for the best. He was good at hiding things and didn't like compromising. Since his first love returned, I didn't want to stick around to get kicked out. I couldn't just leave without a final jab. So I left him a note. Jack, we are actually half-siblings with different moms. Let's not see each other again. I couldn't imagine his reaction waking up to realize he'd been played and then finding that note. My biological mother was wealthy abroad. She transferred all her assets to me immediately when I joined her. She said she owed me for the hardships I faced earlier in life. When I told her I planned to have the child, she was quiet for a while, then agreed. Once Dora was born, she was spoiled beyond measure. She's sweet and adorable. Plenty of folks admired her. Thought I forgotten Jack and believed I never returned to the country. But 4 years later, news exploded that the CEO had died. The picture showed Jack unconscious in the hospital, ghostly pale. My daughter Dora looked at my phone curiously and asked softly, "Mommy, that uncle looks like me. Is he sick? Why is he lying in bed?" My voice cracked as I spoke. "Dora, this is your dad." My eyes drifted to the familiar keychain by the bedside, a Pachacho dog. It even had my lipstick mark on it. Meanwhile, I caught sight of some recent entertainment news. After leaving the country, I avoided checking updates from home. I didn't want to see Jack openly being with his first love after I left. Now though, I stumbled upon a trending topic in news from a month ago. Lily got engaged to a new business mogul. She wasn't with Jack? What's going on? My voice trembled and my eyes suddenly welled with tears. Let's go back home. Right now. Dora didn't know what was going on. She just clung tightly to my clothes. I dressed her in her best outfit. I wanted her dad to see her at Jack's funeral. Back home, I couldn't bear to wander around. After spending 3 years with Jack, every corner of city seemed to hold traces of our time together. Dora could sense my sadness, her voice soft and her little hands cupping my face. "Mom, if you don't like this dad, Dora doesn't want him either. Okay? Don't cry." She still didn't know Jack had passed. She just saw me crying and wanted to comfort me. I choked out, "Okay." On the day of the funeral, the Green family set up a memorial at the funeral home. They didn't know I had returned. Even if they did, with my unclear relationship with Jack, they wouldn't invite me to his funeral, so I snuck in, hiding behind a wall, afraid to get closer. Dora was quiet and didn't draw any attention. Her eyes reddened a bit. "Mom, the uncle looks so young. What about his parents?" My eyes reddened too. Many people attended the funeral, mostly faces I recognized. In the center was Jack's coffin. His body lay inside, soon to be cremated. I spotted Lily and her fiancé. At Jack's funeral, she didn't even cry, their hands interlocked, and her fiancé suddenly leaned in to nibble her earlobe, making her blush instantly. They were flirting right in front of Jack's coffin. I clenched my fists, unable to stop the tears. I planned to wait for fewer people and pay my respects to Jack. Suddenly, a man approached and handed me a piece of paper, smiling. "Were you a friend of Jack's?" But before I could take in his features, a familiar voice rang out like a clap of thunder. If it weren't for wanting to trick Honey back, I wouldn't stay in this coffin for a second. I was jolted. Who's talking? Then I realized it was Jack's voice and my eyes widened. I can hear his innermost thoughts? That voice kept speaking urgently. "My honey looks beautiful from every angle. Why is she eyeing my coffin? Is she actually into me? And Lily, flaunting her relationship here at my funeral, while I haven't even gotten to be close to my honey. I'd have them executed on repeat." I couldn't help but laugh. He continued, "My honey looks good even while, you know." Instantly my face darkened. My eyes fixated on the coffin in the center of the memorial. Jack was in there. And he deliberately brought me here. Not even mad about Lily acting cozy with another man. I held Dora's hand, intending to leave. The man beside me, with an unreadable gaze, grabbed my wrist. "You seem upset. Can I help?" Jack let out a moo-like sob. "Don't go, my treasure. I'll fake my own resurrection now. You bastard. Get lost. Don't touch my treasure." With a bang, the coffin lid flew off, crashing onto the ground. Everyone looked over. They all seemed aware of his fake death, but didn't expect him to jump out so quickly. He cast a cold gaze my way, but inside, "Honey, check out my biceps, my collarbone, and my 8-pack abs." He called out, "All right, everyone disperse. I'm alive." Lily threw me a meaningful look and left hand in hand with her fiancé. The crowd scattered. It had been years, and Jack was still as childish as ever. Dora blurted without a filter, "He looks like a monster from Ultraman." He stood before me, perfectly healthy and full of himself. Not sick or dead. I felt a sigh of relief, my eyes welling with tears. In the next moment, Jack charged over. "You punk, were you messing around with Mandy?" My urge to cry vanished. My attention shifted entirely to what he called me. Holding Dora, I hurriedly left the scene. My thoughts were scattered. After a bit, I set Dora down. Dora, noticing my slightly red eyes, clung to my hem and said gloomily, "Mom, if you don't like that uncle, we won't take him. Honestly, I don't really want a dad, especially one that acts like a monster." I couldn't hold back and giggled. Who's the monster? If anything, I should be Ultraman himself. I turned around, noticed a shadow shrink back into the corner, and stared for 2 seconds. Honey is so perceptive, she must really love me. Honey, stay close. I wondered why it got sunny. Oh right, out of speechlessness. I still don't get why after I messed with him, he didn't get mad, but grew even more clingy. But what's the deal? I have to get to the bottom of this. Right now I can't face Jack, so I took Dora and hurried back to the hotel. His whining voice filled my head. My honey doesn't want me anymore. I stumbled in my steps, quickening my pace. But to my surprise, that night Jack came knocking. Cold face, cold demeanor. As I passed by the stairwell, someone pulled me into the dark. He leaned in towards me, one hand gripping my jaw, the other tightening around my waist. I couldn't hear his thoughts, just his menacing tone. "Mandy, you dare come back?" Now this was the Jack I knew. My eyes flickered. His hot hand tightened around my waist. I couldn't move, so I looked up at him. Why wouldn't I dare? In my anger, I pretended to be upset. My honey doesn't care about me. I'll smash myself with tofu and hang myself with noodles. Only honey is good, and a man without honey is worthless. My fingers trembled the next second. I got a message from Jack's assistant. "Miss Mandy, Jack is missing. He's split personality disorder. Day and night are extremes. I'm afraid he might hurt you if he finds you." I glanced at Jack, his face looking fierce. His inner voice echoed, Kiss her till her lips are sore. See if she'll dare to run again." Ha, definitely two extremes. Control during the day. Blame split personality at night. No holds barred. I put my phone away. I stared at his lips and couldn't help but lean in for a kiss. He froze for a moment, then his eyes flared with desire suddenly. He pinned me against the door. His breath was hot against my ear. My skin tingled. He finally mentioned the prank I pulled on him years ago. "Mandy, you're the first to play tricks on me." That message almost broke up my parents. "Later I got your DNA, which cleared my dad's name. I'll make you pay for it." I felt guilty. I didn't expect it to blow up so much. Before I could finish feeling remorseful, he said, "Spend the time kissing me to make up for it." Hot kisses landed so soft, so soft. Honey, Liam must have shown her the message. Can't win you with split personality? Next time I'll say I have amnesia. I was almost moved, but his voice broke in, "Mandy." Like a bucket of ice water. I shoved him away. Jack looked confused. Outside the door a voice called, "Godmother, where did my mom go? Why isn't she back yet?" My friend said, "Maybe she hasn't come up yet. Let's go meet her." They giggled and walked past the corridor. The elevator was still ahead. Dora's voice was adorable. "What if my mom gets lost?" My friend patted her head, pulling out her phone with the other hand. I held my breath, fearing they'd walk in. Jack was still pinning me against the door. Our breaths mingled. His eyes were intense. Not seeing him for so long, my body couldn't lie. I missed him. But I also had reservations. I'm not generous. If he's pining for Lily while not wanting to let me go, I'm not going back. As my friend and Dora passed by the stairwell door, they paused. My heart raced. Jack's kiss landed fiercely. I widened my eyes, feeling panicked and dizzy. Between kisses, I heard Jack's amused voice. "Mandy, isn't this thrilling? Your friend and daughter have no idea." I struggled. "You wouldn't want them to discover us in the stairwell, right?" I wondered what weird movies he'd been watching, using all his tricks on me. Liam said, "Girls don't like nice, they like bold." Am I bold enough? Speak. My friend continued walking past. My heart settled. Suddenly the stairwell echoed with a ringing phone. I hurriedly ended the call. Jack glanced at my phone. As my friend's footsteps approached, he cornered me. His large frame covered me completely. He leaned down. "Let's continue where we left off, okay?" Though asking, he moved right in, not giving me a chance to answer. The door creaked open and quickly shut. Blushing, I returned to the hotel. My friend was on the couch, eyebrow raised. "Wow, Mandy, an hour-long kiss?" She knew. Dora peeked out like a little parrot. Wow, mommy, an hour-long kiss? My face turned scarlet. Jack's last words echoed in my mind. After you left, I set a goal to kiss you 10 times when you come back. 9 more to go. He thought. Honey, look, am I irresistible? No. Just scared to death. Meeting him again so soon. As I arrived at the restaurant, a hand pulled me aside. Jack. Whose child is Dora? Believing he knew, I paused and then said, Dora is actually... A gentle male voice interrupted. Dora is my child. Both Jack and I turned. Vincent smiled warmly, approaching Jack. Something wrong? Jack mentally lost it. I cried for hours, broke down many times, beat myself senseless, and now my honey's being courted by Green Arrow? How dare he? Outwardly, he looked stern and intimidating. I quickly led Vincent aside, worried about Jack's emotions. Why lie to him? Vincent's eyes dimmed briefly, then he smiled. Don't you want to see how much Jack actually cares? I was silent as Jack's sharp voice rang out. You think I care about your closeness? I killed fish for 10 years. I thought my heart was cold. But seeing this green arrow, tears like a waterfall hit my face, wetting my flip-flops, my toes aching. Only to say, stay away from my honey. He was just standing there nervously watching us walk away. Too scared to come forward. He was worried I'd dislike him, push him away. I chuckled with a hint of softness in my eyes that I didn't even notice. No, I don't want to use deception or excitement to get the answers I want. Vincent smiled a little. I hope you guys can clear up any misunderstandings. I wish you happiness. Looks like we don't need to talk anymore. Here's a gift for you, please take it. He took out a fancy box, patted my shoulder with restraint, and then turned to leave. His silhouette looked lonely. He's my upperclassman from college. In all this time, it was my first time seeing his back like that. Turning again, I saw Jack grinning ear to ear. Me, never mind, his image wasn't ruined in just one day. I said calmly, Dora isn't his child. Dora's just mine, that's all. I figured once there were no hard feelings between us, I'd tell him Dora was his kid. But I didn't expect Jack to be so impatient. He got into a car accident. After the hospital called, my heart raced. I rushed there without even grabbing a coat. When I got there, I found the room already full of familiar faces, including Lily. I stopped, looking over at Jack on the hospital bed. His head was wrapped in thick bandages, his eyes blank and slow, filled with confusion. He scanned the room and asked, Who are you people? Jack was pretending not to recognize even Lily. I didn't expect him to fake amnesia so quickly soon. His eyes landed on me at the door, and he frowned. They say they're my friends, and there's a girlfriend. Are you her? I paused. Me? He sounded so puzzled. I don't know why, but I feel nothing seeing them. But the moment you showed up, my heart started racing. I must know you and like you. Wow, what a performance for love. Honey, am I the perfect husband material or what? Liam was right. When a relationship hits a lull, add some excitement. Isn't amnesia super exciting? Just like a soap opera. I snorted. Nope, I'm just passing by. You don't like me. You like the person at your bedside. I turned to leave. He suddenly called out, waking up, no way. I don't like Lily. I turned back, looking at him. Oh? Not pretending to have amnesia now. Everyone else thought their acting was great. Why did it only take 2 looks for me to see through his act? Because Jack's inner voice was just too loud. Everyone in the room exchanged awkward glances and embarrassed smiles, trying to claim it was their idea. Jack noticed my expression wasn't right, quickly waved for everyone to leave. As Lily walked past, she gave me a smile. She whispered so only I could hear. I think you might be mistaken. There's nothing between Jack and me. Plus, I don't like childish people. I looked over. She was already out of the room. Jack stopped me. Don't go. If you leave, I won't find you again. His eyes reddened, turning away. For a moment, tears fell. I looked at him, a bit stunned. I didn't understand what he meant. He didn't speak, but his mind said everything. Your mom told me to pursue you only in the country, make you change your mind about me. If you leave, I won't ever reach you again. How does my mom know Jack? She hates him. That's really something she say. Only I knew nothing about it. Seeing his red eyes unexpectedly squeezed my heart. My nose stung. I thought I moved on from Jack. At least not felt anything because of him. But when I came back, I realized how wrong I was. My feelings never faded with time, so I also wanted to find out should I keep liking him or not. Jack, do you like Mandy? Or do you like me? He called out for Mandy so many times, both asleep and drunk. His heart clearly didn't like Lily. But I knew Mandy couldn't be me. Because years ago in a drunk dream Jack yelled for Mandy, then said, "I've liked you for 10 years, could you like me too?" Dee never seen Jack so vulnerable. It chilled my heart. Because we hadn't known each other for 10 years, the only person who Dee known him that long was Lily. Jack clenched his hands, a blush spread across his cheeks. "Mandy is you. It's always been you, no one else. V liked you for 10 years. He's really bad at expressing feelings." Yet, blushing, he still spoke each word. He looked at me. "So back then you thought Mandy was Lily?" I nodded. "Her name has yet in it. No one else around you is called Mandy." "Who said that?" "Yes, her name has yet, but yours has 3 yets. Everyone calls you Mandy. I didn't want to treat you the same way. If only I call you Mandy, is that special?" Suddenly I couldn't hear his inner voice. Dee said everything out loud, nothing left unsaid. But he seemed so nervous, like it was a multi-billion-dollar deal. I suddenly teased, "If you like me so much, why didn't you look for me when I moved abroad?" He muttered, "I did, almost went crazy trying. I just found out." After I left, he was furious, doing everything to find me. He thought I was just pranking. Didn't expect I'd leave and never come back. He really went mad searching for me. The Greens and his friends all tried to comfort him. Eventually everyone tried to find out where I was. They found out I moved abroad, and possibly never returning. He grew even more silent. Until once, he secretly flew out and sat in a plane by himself and came near my home. He knew everything I did each day. During that time I said I kept feeling followed. A couple of days later, that feeling disappeared. Strange, considering Jack's character. If he found me, Dee have gritted his teeth and kissed me repeatedly. But back then he just followed me quietly, never revealing Dee been there. It didn't take me long to figure out why. My mom called, "Mandy, are you getting used to things back home?" I laughed and replied, "Yeah, I'm doing pretty well over here. Do you plan to stay here for good? I miss Dora too." I turned to look at Jack, who was lying in the hospital bed staring at me blankly. He noticed my gaze and mustered a little smile. I hesitated. My mom picked up on it. "What's wrong? Isn't Jack what you expected?" "What do you mean? Didn't he tell you?" "Tell me what?" "I'm clueless." Mom sighed. "I assume Jack must have told you right away that I met him back then. I was worried you'd blame me for not letting you two meet. I won't run away again. From now on, let's not keep anything from each other, okay?" I gave him a peck on the lips. He was frozen for a moment, then I kissed him again and asked, "Okay?" He grabbed my hand and hoarsely said, "Okay." But I felt even more guilty. Just leaving like that. If we were going to have any future, it was all thanks to Jack. "Were you mad when I left you hanging like that?" Of course I was mad. Someone played tricks on me and left without even a kiss. I rested my hand on his arm. Better late than never, right? Then I leaned in closer for a kiss. Finally I teased, "Only 5 more times, right?" Jack gritted his teeth. "Doesn't count, this one's not counting." I chuckled with my eyes crinkled. "I can kiss you whenever now." His eyes lit up and he kissed me again. After a while I thought of teasing him. "Actually, there's something I didn't tell you." "What?" "When I just returned, I could hear your thoughts." He panicked. "When?" "You know, when you were lying in that coffin saying you'd rise from the dead." His face turned bright red like a boiled shrimp. "What else?" I drawled, "Oh, there's more. Like when you pretended to have split personalities to find me. And then you had Liam send me a message asking if you were domineering enough." I held back a laugh. "Yeah, pretty domineering." "Mandy." Jack was so embarrassed he almost left this beautiful world. I was worried Dora might have trouble adapting, so these past few days, I've been casually asking if she wants a daddy. Finally, on the 3rd day, Dora looked confused and wide-eyed. "Mom, why haven't you brought Daddy back yet?" "Me? Godmom said you didn't get along with my dad, so you split up. But now that you've cleared things up, why haven't you brought him home?" I gave an awkward smile, just about to respond when Dora asked again, "Mom, do you like this daddy? Is he nice to you? If he bullies you, Dora won't accept him." She was so fierce, her little hands clenched tight. Her face was tense but still soft and puffy. She had zero intimidation. I hugged her tight. "He's really good to me, but it's more important how he treats you." If he's not nice to you, mommy won't accept him either. She hugged me back, kissing my cheek with her soft little lips. Miles away at work, Jack sneezed out of nowhere, someone talking bad about him? Jack wants me to move back to the estate I used to live in. It's a really big estate. Even my mom's place abroad isn't quite as spacious. Jack took me to my old bedroom and said he's been dealing with company matters there, even sleeping in there these past years. Like I never left. I hesitated for a couple of seconds and slowly said, "Actually, Dora is your child." Jack stayed calm. "I thought so because she's so adorable. With our genes, who else could have such an adorable kid?" He acted super composed. That's when I finally relaxed. I wasn't sure how Dora and Jack were going to get along. Looking around the room, everything was just how I left it. You could even see signs of someone living there. All these 4 years, Jack has been staying in my room. It moved me deeply. When I turned around, I realized Jack had already stepped out. I quickly opened the door and turned to see Jack hiding by the wall, tears streaming down his face. He was covering his face with one hand, crying uncontrollably. I was mentally prepared for this. Even if Dora isn't my child, I want to raise her well with you. But she's actually my child. Mandy, you've been through so much. I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. A grown man crying like this. Soon, Jack got a hold of himself and was all smiles, ready to make some phone calls. "Hey old, you want me to go out for drinks?"
Nah, I'm quitting.
"I want to stay home with my daughter." "Yeah, my own daughter." "Lily, how do you know I have a daughter? Your fiancé can't even give you one, break it off." "Oh Chin, your family pushing you to have kids? Well, they're gonna press even harder now." "Why?" "Because I have an adorable and well-behaved daughter." "Ha ha ha. Vincent. What, can't I call you without a reason? How do you know I have a super cute daughter?" "You're nosy." Jack confessed his feelings to me. He said he had a crush on me back in middle school. Never saw anyone as hardworking as me. He'd see me studying on the rooftop and listen while playing on his phone from behind a wall. Then we ended up at the same high school, and he watched over me more. When I was struggling, his money helped me through it. He paid me to pretend to be his girlfriend. After we got together, I brought Dora to the mansion for a visit. It was rare to see Jack's parents there. Jack's mom, wiping her tears, said, "Mandy, don't run away anymore, stay in the country. Go wherever you want with him." "Is this Dora? She's so cute. You guys should move back in. It's been tough for you both being together for years. If you ever want to get married, we'll handle everything. Don't worry about a thing." Years. But I just officially started dating Jack. Jack tugged on my sleeve. Quickly agreed. After they left, I crossed my arms. "All right, what else have you been hiding from me?" Jack looked away, clearly uncomfortable. He said, "You weren't my girl from the start. I just told everyone we were dating." I was stunned. Turns out, when Jack introduced me to his family, he claimed, "She's shy, she thinks you'll stop us from being together, so I told her to pretend to be my girlfriend. I hope one day I can proudly introduce her to you. Please don't scare her. I've liked her since middle school. You used to say I was too young to understand love. But it's been so long and I still want her. Only her." Later, when my birth mom found out I was with Jack, she was furious and wanted to take me abroad. But I told her I liked how things were. She asked, "Do you love him?" I nodded, "Only him." Not long after, entertainment news headlines announced, "CEO ties the knot." Netizens were puzzled. Wait, didn't the CEO die? The end.